So in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you 30 tips that will help with your Dragon Ball Sparking Zero gameplay so you can win more matches and climb the ranked ladder. Now, originally, I wanted to make this video have 50 tips, but I couldn't think of 50 tips. I mean, I could have said some super basic and brain dead stuff, but I didn't want to have a bunch of useless and obvious tips in this video or make this video 50 minutes long. That being said, there are some obvious and maybe useless tips in this video that you already know, but if you learned at least one thing from this video, then that's fine by me. These tips will consist of universal tips that will help with your gameplay regardless of whatever character you play, and character specific tips. Anyways, let's get into the tips, starting off with number 1. Tip number 1, always charge your ki when you can. This game revolves around ki. Ki is used when you Dragon Dash, Z Burst Dash, use supers, using boosted supers, throwing ki blast, etc. Even if your opponent Sonic sways you, you lose ki. Although you do receive ki from doing combos, charging it obviously gives you more, so do it when you can. Tip number 2, use ki blast more often. I see a lot of people online that never throw ki blast. It's a great way to prevent your opponent from going into sparking mode, staggering opponents, can be used as a combo tool, closing the distance, maintaining pressure, etc. My third tip is to know your character. A lot of people pick up whatever character but don't actually know what they do, which is fine because a lot of the tips and gameplay is universal and transferable with a lot of characters in the roster. But if you don't know what your character 100% fully does, then you're missing out on a lot of potential. Here's an easy way to know what they do. Go to the explanation of controls and read what your character's abilities do, what kind of buffs and potential nerfs you may receive. If you want to quickly close the distance on your opponent and start beating them with combos, use Z Burst Dash. This will make you get behind your opponent but will cost a bar to do so. This is how you do it. While flying around in your Dragon Dash state, just tap X on your PlayStation controller or A on your Xbox controller and you will Z Burst Dash. If you want to do it while you're still, hold and charge down your trigger and double tap X or A and you will Z Burst Dash. Make sure you don't apply any directional input when using these methods. Tip number 5 is more of an obvious one, but when selecting a team, don't go for the transformed or transformation version of your character. Most of the time, the base version of that same character will have less points, which allows you to broaden out and expand your team building options. And then obviously in-game, just transform. Tip number 6 is use your exchange feature. Exchange is a great tool to get your low HP characters out of battle and bring in someone new. Doing so will heal your switched out character's HP, and the exchange is also a great way for switching it up and mixing up your opponent and can sometimes be used as a combo extender. Tip number 7 relates to the previous tip, and it's that your health, ki, and skill points don't carry over to the next character. Health and maybe ki was pretty obvious, but each character has their own skill points. So remember to always keep this in mind when switching out your character and bringing in someone new. Plus, when that swapped out character does return, you want to know what kind of resources you are working with so you can come up with a game plan. Here is a UI Goku and Whis exclusive tip. These mens can auto dodge. Just stand still and they will automatically dodge all basic attacks and ki blasts your opponent throws at you. But auto dodging will use your ki, so this is a reminder to tip number 1, always charge your ki. Tip number 9 is for characters with the Afterimage Strike. If your character has it, use it. It's a free auto dodge for 15 seconds, and every time your opponent attacks you with a basic or charged attack, you will get behind them every single time, allowing you to do combos and backshots. If you like to fuse with characters, it's very simple. The same way you will transform with the character is the same way you can fuse into a character as well. Just press the bumper on your controller to filter through the different menus and select the character you like to fuse into. Note that in order to perform a fusion, the two characters must be from the same saga or arc. So for example, if you want to transform into Vegeta Blue, then make sure you're using Dragon Ball Super Goku and Dragon Ball Super Vegeta on your team, not DBS Goku with DBZ Vegeta. The next tip is for characters with an explosion ultimate like Buff Trunks or Majin Vegeta. An easy way to land your ultimate on those characters is to knock them down in front of you by doing down triangle or down Y on Xbox. Once you knock them down, just pop your explosion ultimate and it's GG. Tip number 12, you can deflect most Ki Blast supers in the game. It will cost 2 skill points but gives you a level 3 charging ability, which will make your Ki charge go faster. The way it's done is that as you're about to get hit by a Ki Blast super, just make sure you're holding on to your perception ability and you will deflect it. Hard to say if this technique will be useful or not, but only time will tell. But right now, it's mostly used to flex on your opponent. The next tip is to use your dash more. Similar to tip number 2, where I don't see a lot of people using Ki Blast, I don't see a lot of people using dash either. Most of the time, they just fly around, but dashing is good to quickly close the distance. In close quarters, your dash becomes more of a sidestep, which can be used in combos, getting around your opponents to mix them up, dodge attacks, etc. And speaking of mixing up your opponents, dashing is a great way to throw off your opponent's timing if they try to counter you, and it makes you less predictable. Perception and super perception counters, very easy to do. You can either time it right before you're gonna get hit or press and hold perception and you will counter your opponent. You can also hold the guard button while doing this as well. It's a great way to stop your opponent's combos and relieve the pressure, but also gives you a chance to go on the offensive now. Sonic Sway is a flashy version of perception. It activates the same way as perception, but will come out when your opponent does a rush combo. This one also does require better timing than perception, so practice this in the lab. The next counter I want to talk about is revenge counters. It's not something I would recommend using all the time because it costs 2 skill points and perception does the same thing. However, it is something to keep in your back pocket just in case, because it is easier to execute and doesn't require precise timing. So if you are looking to breathe and you're on low HP, escape your opponent's super fast sparking rush combo, or just want to kill your opponent who is on a sliver of health, then you can use revenge counter. If you want to do combos in this game, it's very simple and very fun. You can literally make stuff up as you go, and it mostly consists of square and triangle, or X and Y if you're on Xbox. So for example, you can do square, square, square into triangle, then square, 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 triangle, or 2 squares, 1 triangle, then 5 squares, or 4 squares into a triangle, then a launcher. You can end your combos in a super or an ultimate, and there's a lot of stuff you can do, but most, if not every combo in this game is not a true combo. With how many defensive options there are, your opponents can escape, counter, reversal, etc. So my recommendation is to keep combos precise and short. However, the next tip will also help you tremendously in your combos. Launching your opponent upwards is something everyone should know and is used as a combo ender. How do you do it? Is to press up triangle or Y on your controller, dash forward using X or A, and continue with basic attacks until your opponent falls to the ground. Now this fall is important because it's a hard knockdown. This means they can't recover, which gives you a lot of time to charge your ki, transform, switch out, or what most people do, and it's to end the combo with a super or ultimate. Tip number 19 is something a lot of people struggle with, and it's stopping backshots. If you hate getting hit from the back, super counters is a must-know skill to help climb the ranks, but it's not easy to do. This can be done while blocking or when getting hit. For example, during backshots, super counters will interrupt your opponent's combo and sends them flying. How it's done is hold the thumbstick up and press square on your PlayStation controller or X on your Xbox controller. The timing is tight and it's not something you should try mashing because it won't work. So practice this in the lab, especially since every character has different attack animations. How to dodge or vanish defensively. Before you get hit, press the block button and you will vanish behind your opponent. Now there are certain conditions on when you can do it. For example, if you are getting beat in a combo, you can't vanish out of it unless your opponent sends you flying and extends his combo using the singular smash attacks. You've probably seen this online where people are vanishing that singular smash attack and then vanishing again and countering a vanish with another vanish, and then it's a vanish, 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 and it becomes a vanish war until somebody messes up their timing. Vanishing can also help you escape supers and some ultimates. How to dodge / vanish offensively. What do I mean by that? Well, the best way to do combos and inflict damage is by giving your opponent backshots, because that makes it much harder for your opponent to escape or counter. So pressing the guard button on your controller while you're in the middle of a combo will teleport your character behind your opponent to give them the deadly backshots. But be careful, because your opponent can counter your vanish with the Vanish of their own, and now you'll be the one receiving the backshots. If you're performing a combo on your opponent and it's a head-on combo but you want to make it into a backshot combo, you can actually turn around your opponent and start giving them backshots during a combo. But this is character specific and some characters can't even do this. For example, Whis can't do it no matter what I try. Other characters like Tapion, Hit, and Janemba can do it, but they each have a different combo to get that turnaround. For example, Tapion and Hit needs to do square 4 times plus triangle. Janemba needs to do square then triangle. But the weirdest part is Adult Gohan. Base form and Super Saiyan Gohan can't turn Cell around, but Super Saiyan 2 Adult Gohan can by pressing square twice into triangle. It's weird because if this thing happens to Adult Gohan, then there's a good chance that other characters with transformations are the same. This tip is really useful to set up backshot combos on your opponent, but you need to go into the lab and test your combos because every character and every transformation is different. Sparking mode is a strong state. It will cost 1 skill point to get into, and you will have to charge up to go into sparking mode. Sparking mode does allow you to use your ultimate move, but it does more than that. You become faster, stronger, combos become longer. So although you might have the urge to pop your ultimate as soon as you have it, maybe consider delaying it. Sure, it can be risky depending on how long you delay it and potentially lose out on not using your ultimate, but as soon as you pop your ultimate, you will completely deplete your sparking meter. So I suggest taking advantage of the free and easy damage plus the combos you can do in sparking. An easy combo you can do in sparking that links with your ultimate is to mash square like 15-20 times, press triangle to send them flying, and then finish it off with your ultimate. Do note that combos like this your opponent can break out of it, or they will eventually fall out of the combo because these combos aren't infinite. The next tip is that you can close the distance on your opponent by using a Vanishing Attack. It's done by pressing square and X if you're on PlayStation, or X and A if you're on Xbox. What this will do is close the distance on your opponent by teleporting in front of them, landing an attack, and this gives you a chance to start applying pressure and combos. The range is limited, so it's not like you can do this technique from across the map. This is for medium to close range. If you want to break your opponent's guard, charge up your, charge attack and hold the stick either up or down. If your opponent isn't blocking high or low, then you will break their guard. But if they do guard correctly, then you'll be the one to get staggered. But with how many people that spam perception and counters online, guard break isn't something I would recommend doing because of how easy you can dodge or counter it. This is something you should do to catch your opponent off guard, especially if you haven't used it all game. Grab. People do not grab as much in this game, but it's a great way to fight and counter against people that block or fish for counters all day. And you've seen this online and you fought against them where they're just holding perception waiting for you to attack. It's super annoying, but once you've conditioned them to stop using guard and perception all day, then you can mix them up with a combo. So please use grab more. Plus, some characters have unique grab animations when versing other characters. If you play any of the androids, then you must have good key management. These guys can't charge their key unless they're going into sparking mode with 5 bars of key. So the only way you can get key with the androids is to get them from your combos or wait. Because unlike other characters, their key does charge over time at a steady rate. And even if you deflect an opponent's Ki Blast Super using Perception and gain the level 3 charge ability, your passive Ki charge does not speed up from this ability as you see on screen with Android 18. However, if you play Android 19 or Dr.Gero, then you're lucky, because these two characters can absorb your opponent's Ki Blast and Ki Blast Supers using Perception. Absorbing this will give you Ki, but don't try this against ultimates because it's GG. Use your skills and skill points. I see people only using skill points just to go into sparking mode, and that's it. And they don't even use their other skills as well. But some of these skills are super strong and can significantly make your character stronger, like Roshi using Afterimage Strike, Teen Gohan's Explosive Wave that gets people off him from all directions, or Future Gohan that uses 3 skill points to go into sparking mode with 5 buffs. So don't die with unused skill points. You're leaving free damage and buffs on the table that would have helped your character. The last tip of the video are for those who main the big body characters like Janemba, Great Ape, Hirudegarn, etc. There is a very small, tiny, minuscule player base that mains these type of characters, and I know you guys been struggling because your giant hitbox is combo food for the opponent. So don't worry, the last tip of this video is dedicated to all 7 of you giant mains. My tip for playing giant characters is to stop playing them.